Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm doing a reaction to The Honey of Non-Duality, Swami Sarvapriyananda. This looked interesting. It's like the honey of non-duality. I don't know what he's trying to get at here. The sweetness of non-duality? The natural of non-duality? So I was like, this looks interesting enough, let's go ahead and give this a shot. The honey of non-duality. Are we like, okay, are we the bees and we should be attracted to the honey?
Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning and namaste, everybody. Welcome. A bright and beautiful day here in Manhattan. The subject you might have noticed is the honey of non-duality. And that sounds sweet, pun intended, but what does it mean? It actually refers to a text called the Advaita Makaranda, a little-known text of post-Shankara Advaita Vedanta. This text, the author was one Lakshmidhara Kavi, and it's little known. I mean, I had never heard of it when I was studying Vedanta initially, and I just read it only recently. It was popularized by Swami Dayananda Saraswati from the Arsha Vidya. The first translation, I think, into English was by Swami Tejomayanandaji from the Chinmay Mission. And then recently, our very own Swami Atmarupanandaji, who was in Houston, now he's in Paris, in the Vedanta Center there, he has translated this. And he has named it the Nectar of Non-Duality. You can translate it either way. The idea being here that the author's idea is that already all these traditions exist. The Upanishads are very ancient, they already exist. And then the commentaries of Shankaracharya are there, and so many post-Shankara Advaita masters have written about it. So there are many, many texts. Now what this author, his vision is, he's like a bee which goes to, a honey bee, you know, which goes to different flowers. All these texts are different flowers. And he goes and he extracts the honey. Like they extract the nectar out of flowers, the bees, and then they mix it together to make honey, which they present to us. So exactly like that, this text is like the essence, the sweet essence of all the other texts. So basically what he has done is, he has gathered insights and arguments from various non-dual texts over centuries or millennia. So he's gathered it together into this honey of non-duality. And it's a short text, about 28 verses. But it's very unique, and there's a reason why I have selected it. One practical reason is that I'm studying it all over again right now for the first time for the purpose of teaching it. I've studied it for myself earlier, but I am scheduled to teach this text later in September this year in Phoenix. So I thought I'll give you a taste of the honey, and take it for a test run in this. Now, this text, it demands attention. Why? It's a little different from all other texts, and that's why it's intriguing and very interesting. And sweet. In Advaita Vedanta, the method is hearing, reflecting, meditating. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Typically, you would go to the Upanishads and a number of other later texts to know an answer to the question, what does Vedanta say? What is Vedanta teaching us? And we learn from that. We learn this central message of Vedanta. In Advaita Vedanta, it's pretty simple, actually. I mean, it's a vast system, So many texts, so many masters spread over centuries and millennia, and yet it can be reduced to very simple statements. You are Brahman. Tattvamasi, that thou art. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. Brahman is the ultimate reality, the only reality. The world is an appearance, and you are Brahman. You, the sentient being, you are Brahman. So this is, you can state it in very brief, in a single sentence, you can put the entire teaching. Now,
I wouldn't say the entire teaching, but the idea of the teaching itself. The entire teaching. That'd be kind of crazy. You're Brahman. Done. But yeah, no, the idea. And I think that's the only thing. I changed that a little bit. The idea behind the teaching is that you are Brahman. For you to realize that. To say that's the entire teaching is, I think it's just that. What was it? Being up there, probably just used the wrong words. Just want to correct that for anyone who doesn't watch this. And again, I'm not saying I'm a master at this at all. It's just I do understand basic stuff, and it's the entire idea behind Advaita Vedanta is the fact for you to realize that you are Brahman. So that is the idea behind it. The teachings, many of it, very long, very arduous. Well, not arduous, but just can be actually. It depends on how well you are, but can be arduous. I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but you get the idea.
The second stage, after you know what Vedanta is teaching, we know what Vedanta is telling us, that somehow we are Brahman, that we are the absolute reality, existence, consciousness, bliss. And then we have questions. So when we have questions, we go into the second stage of Vedantic learning, Vedantic study and practice. It's practice actually. The second stage is reflection, reasoning. We try to answer the questions. For example, how am I Brahman? I don't feel like that. I don't see at all how I am Brahman. It's impossible. So this doubt, impossibility doubt. In Sanskrit it's called asambhavana, literally impossibility doubt. It's impossible that I'm Brahman. It's just crazy. Now I have to be convinced. I have to be shown. I have to be shown that I am in error of what I think about myself. And this stage is manana, or reasoning. And then there is a further stage, which is nididhyasana, Vedantic meditation, where the problem is, our question is that yes, now I know what Vedanta teaches me, I am Brahman, and now also through the process of reasoning, I am quite convinced that I get it now. I get it, I understand in what sense, what is the meaning of this teaching, it's clear to me now. And it's great, but I still have problems living it. You know, it doesn't I still feel like the same old guy, and I react. What's worse is I still react to life, not as limitless consciousness, but just this guy, as I used to. Maybe a little better, or maybe a little worse, but now that I'm Brahman, no. So how do I make this a living truth for me? And that is, the third stage is the techniques of meditation, where you immerse yourself in the clarity already gained. I'll repeat that. The Vedantic meditation is to immerse yourself in the clarity that you've already gained through the first two stages. Now this text, the one which we are going to go into today, which we are going to get a taste of today, is unique in the sense that it refers to that second stage of Vedantic, the procedure. You know, it sort of assumes that we know what Vedanta is all about. So if there are absolute newcomers here, apologies to them. One senior Swami would say, when you give a talk, there should be something for everybody, and there should be something for everybody and everything for some people at least. But today it might not be something for everybody, because it already assumes familiarity with non-dual Vedanta. Then when we have this question, how am I Brahman? This is where the text comes in. What it wants to do is pretty radical. It wants to use our present experience, the experience of life as we have it right now, and to show us that you are Brahman. It's pretty clear. It's pretty easy. It's pretty obvious. We'll just make it clear to you. We will show you through argument and experience. What experience? Just the experience that we have already, that you are Brahman. It's a pretty, as we shall see, it's a big task. It's a difficult thing to do. And therefore, what he will do is a set of arguments based on our experience, trying to convince you that you are Brahman right now, to make it clear. And also, not just arguments, it's also based on experience. At the end of it, we will not actually say that, all right, now I understand how I am Brahman, but I yet have to experience it. That's how most people react. No, the author doesn't want us to do that. The author, at the end of this session, or the text at least, if we begin to get it, we should say both, I understand what is meant by I am Brahman, and also I experience it. That's what the author is claiming, that experience is already available. Let me just dwell on this for a couple of minutes before going ahead. I mentioned this earlier. There are different paradigms of spiritual life. You know, all the great mystical traditions, spiritual traditions in the great religions of the world, they operate on different paradigms. 3 main paradigms I'll bring before you today. They're central. One is the devotional paradigm. The devotional paradigm is there is God, in some form. Atheistic religions, all of them believe in God. There's God in some form, in some conception of God, and God exists. And our duty, our method of approaching God is devotion, faith, love, surrender, worship, prayer, music, meditation, all of that. The purpose being to connect ourselves to God, who's a real presence, to feel the presence of God and get the grace of God. By the grace of God, we shall be free from the travails of samsara, from our sorrow, and attain happiness and fulfillment. It comes from there. We just open ourselves to it, and we want it, and we remain tuned to the presence of God. All of this is called bhakti. Bhakti, devotion, love of God. And it's not uncommon. I mean, it's if you look at the theistic religions in the world, they are all sort of different models of bhakti. Just, all of it. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Vaishnavism, Shaktaism, the devotional stuff that we do here, Sri Ramakrishna, all of it is bhakti. Then there's another approach in spiritual life. That is the yogic approach, the meditation approach, which you find in Patanjali Yoga, you find it in Buddhism, in Jainism, in Sankhya, where the premise, the paradigm is not that there is a God and you have to believe in God and then have faith, and by the grace of God you will be delivered or saved. No, the paradigm is that you are that ultimate truth, you are pure consciousness, you have to know yourself as you truly are, and the way to know yourself as you truly are is meditation.
But isn't it, for Buddhism though, I'm not sure how many different kinds of Buddhism there are. I know of only 2, one that believe that Buddha is God, and then one that believes that Buddha isn't a God. But is Buddhism in this method that you must truly, I guess you truly know yourself? Because as far, again, I guess maybe I should let him finish, but I just want to get my thoughts out there real quick. As far as I know about Buddhism, is the fact that it's like nothingness. I believe the idea behind it is that there is no God, there is no Atman. So there is no you. They're just there's this thing that goes from one body to another, but it's not you. I can't remember. It's been a little bit since I remember that, since I watched a video. But there is no Atman, there is no God, there's nothingness. That's the ultimate reality, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. At least that perhaps is one of them. I don't know if it's all of them. I don't know how many they are, but I believe that is one of them.
Meditation. Because the problem here is not one of lack of belief. In bhakti, the problem is a lack of belief, lack of faith. And the solution is faith in God and surrender to God. But in the yogic approach, the problem is restlessness of the mind. And the paradigm is that if you calm the mind down, if you sufficiently settle the mind and focus it in that stillness, In a pure and still mind, your inner, your reality, Purusha, the pure consciousness, that shines forth and becomes clear to you. And that is enlightenment. And that's also a particular paradigm. Problem, restlessness of mind. Solution is calming the mind down in meditation. And there are many traditions which take this approach.
And from what I'm understanding here, gee, excuse me, why does it always happen that way? Anyways, it's the fact that I guess that once your mind is completely clear of emotions, thoughts, and your body is not aggravating you like mind does, you get to realize your true self, that you are not your emotions, you are not your body, and that you're not your thoughts. It's, I used to say blankness, kind of darkness because there's nothing, but it's pure awareness. I've not said that, but I always said blankness. But because of the blankness, it's pure awareness. The reason why it's blankness because there's no thoughts, no feelings, emotions, and no body. That's why you witness this blankness, because it's just pure awareness. You're completely aware of the nothingness because your mind, your emotions, and your body is calmed. So you realize what your true self is, without your emotions getting in the way, without your thoughts getting in the way, without your body's kind of freaking tingling all over the place. Which is, it's the first time I'm ever saying this, but yeah, that's what it is. That's the reason why it's a blankness, but it's not. It's pure awareness because nothing is distracting you.
Multiple forms of meditative practices. Now what we are going to do in this text today is neither of these. The author will not ask us to believe in something and then surrender and have faith and all. No, not at all. The author also will not ask us to close our eyes and stop thinking. Don't stop thinking and don't close your eyes. And especially a hot, humid day, it's a hazard. You'll fall asleep immediately. Hot, humid day and high philosophy make for a very bad combination. A very soporific combination. So what the author expects, the Advaitic paradigm, is insight. Not believing in something, not even doing meditation to get some kind of extraordinary mystical experience which we do not have at this time. No. As we shall see, as we shall go into this, we'll see he's only appealing to our experience which we have right now. Already, effortlessly we have it. Perhaps we do not notice it or we do not understand its implications. So what the author will do in this text is draw our attention to some clear fact of our experience all the time. All of us have it. And then draw out the implication, and then we begin to see, hopefully. So this is a very radical approach. This is, nowadays it's called the direct path. You know, that instantaneous, effortless, where everybody is very happy. Oh, so I don't have to put in years and years of practice. Effortless, right now. And right now, not years and years, and not lots of hard practice, but effortless and instantaneous. Yes, in some sense true. If you get it, at that moment it's effortless and instantaneous. If you don't get it, it could be years and years of hard practice.
It's all or nothing.
We have to keep at it, no doubt. All right. With this background, I shall start. So we are called upon to do is listen carefully first. What is the text saying? What is the author saying to us? And then try to get it to the steps of the argument. It's going to be very closely argued. A lot of packed arguments here. I'll try to make it as simple as possible, but it is going to be intense. It's like a slightly prolonged TED Talk. So a lot of ideas put in a short time. First, listen carefully. Second, try to get it, follow the steps of the argument and connect the whole argument, put it together. And third, it's not just about arguing and reasoning and trying to understand, but also seeing it as a fact. It's as much of an Vivekananda called it an open secret. It's secret, that's why we need to hear it, because we don't know it, it's not common sense. But it's also open. So if it's right here, right now, what we are talking about, that I am Brahman, I need to match it with my experience. So it's going to be very intense, and I think this talk will require a Q&A. a question answer. So today, after a long time, we'll follow up the talk with a Q&A, a short Q&A. We'll finish the talk, and then we'll give a 10-minute break. Those who want to leave or just want to stretch your legs and come back, you're free to do that, and then we'll reassemble here for the Q&A. I still haven't started, and we've got 15 minutes into the talk. All right, but I think this background was necessary.
Okay.
What the author wants to do, he has a particular strategy. The strategy is this. If two things fit the same definition, they're the same thing. If Brahman is Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, limitless being, limitless awareness, limitless fulfillment, joy, bliss, Sat Chit Ananda, that formulation. And if it can be shown that I am Sat Chit Ananda to my satisfaction, then I must be Brahman. This is a simple strategy. The task before the author is to convince us that you are limitless existence, limitless consciousness, and limitless joy or fulfillment. That's your real nature. And as through reason, you must give a check mark that yes, check, I understand. The arguments hold up. And not only that, more important, as a fact. So that's why I say, because it is both reasoning and experience, I think that it's not just Manana Grantha, a text of reasoning, the second stage, is also a text of meditation, because it's continuously pointing out what you are. All right. So the definition of Brahman, this is the strategy, the definition of Brahman, which we find in the Vedanta text, that's why we need to be a little familiar with what Vedanta teaches us. The broad definitions of Brahman, which are very famous actually, and found in the Vedanta text, the original Vedanta text, the Upanishads, and then trying to match it with ourselves. This is the strategy. All right. The first well-known definition, formulation of Brahman always is...
I'm going to pause it right there, actually, start with the new one before he gets into it really deep. So yes, actually there was 2 videos in this one. I was looking, I was like, oh. So there's the discussion itself and then the Q&A, which is pretty interesting. I think this one is, well, an hour and 20 minutes long. And then the other one, I can't remember what it is, but I'm quite interested in that. So I wonder why he talks about this again. But then again, I guess he kind of has to talk about this ever so often, has to kind of go back to it and explain it maybe slightly different, because it's probably a whole new audience out there, or perhaps people having to be refreshed on these things. And maybe even people out there who has heard this but needs to hear it a second time to kind of connect the dots, which is very much me. But yeah, the honey of duality. Let's see, what else did I notice that he said? I don't think there's anything else I have to say other than, you know, this introduction again. I think a lot of people do in the very beginning is just explain a lot of things. I don't really have too much to say other than just maybe understanding certain things that he says. Like again, he says the whole teachings is you are Brahman. I think it's the idea that there's so many different teachings, and the teachings lead you to see that you are Brahman. So that's the idea behind the teachings, is that you are Brahman. But the teachings itself is not it's to meditate to see that you're Brahman, to bhakti yoga that you're Brahman, jnana, all these other yogas that you are Brahman. But that's I think the better word for me anyway is that's the idea behind it of Advaita Vedanta, is to make you realize that you're Brahman. And there are many different teachings that lead you up to that point. So I don't know if that helps perhaps people who have never heard this before to understand that. Maybe it's a little bit better understanding. Maybe, again, whatever way it works for you, works for you. But I like to kind of throw it out there if I see it a little bit differently, and correct me if I'm wrong by all means. That's the comment section down below. So anyways, that's the first part of this one, the honey of non-dualism, non-duality, non-dualism. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.